Hey, you wonderful people. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about domain and range with the handsome but never prepared Mr. Lamb, who's going to join us once he picks up his pen.
Yes,
Ta-da!
because I have a problem. I put my pen down and I forget to pick
All
it
the
back
time.
up.
It's the age, guys. All right. Our learning target today, I can determine the domain and range of a function.
Which we already know what that is, and we are not going to go over it again.
Because we just watched that video.
That's right.
So now we're going to talk about, well, what's the domain and the range of the function? And these are things you already know. It just has a new word now that we're talking about them in terms of functions.
Matter of fact, what you're going to find right now is that it has a couple of different names.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the domain first.
Yep. And so there's a lot of different names for the domain. The domain is the x-coordinate in an ordered pair. It is the input, and sometimes it's just called the domain on one of those like circle things that we looked at last time.
Yes.
Those little circle graphs. So, for example, if I had a list of ordered pairs and I had like 0, 3, and like 2, 4, and like 5, 7, or something like that, right? If I was asked to list the domain,
Which is one of my favorite test questions.
I know, it's so easy. I just take the x values and I put them on a little squiggly thing. We're supposed to use a little squiggly thing.
Oh, then you do it.
All right, you're supposed to use the little like.
Yes,
so 0, 2, and 5. I literally just list the x values and boom, there's the
Is there a
domain.
certain order we should list them in?
You should list them in ascending order to be mathematically correct.
Ascending order. Now, ascending means to...
Least to greatest.
There you go.
So smallest to largest, right?
Yeah, I might mess up occasionally, but I remember what ascending is.
That's right. So domain, again, the input, the domain, or the x coordinate.
Yep.
So if domain is the x,
3 names for the same thing.
then
We have 3 names that mean the same thing also.
that's right.
So, oh, let's see, how did you do that? You went, and then you went, squiggly.
It didn't do it that slow.
Okay, so the names for the range. Okay, obviously, if the one was the x-coordinate, this one must be the y-coordinate. And if the other one was the input, this one must be the output. And of course, we sometimes call it the range.
Right. So if I had, again, a list of ordered pairs that are in a function, then to find the range, I'm looking for the y value.
And
so
sometimes-
now it would be this one.
And sometimes we'll try and mess you up because instead of saying, hey, list the range of the ordered pairs, we might say list the outputs of the ordered pairs.
And that just means the same thing.
Yes.
Or we might say, what's the range, right? And that just means,
Or it
what's
might
the
say
x?
what's the y-coordinate.
That's true. That's true. There's
All
so many
means the
different
same thing.
So, domain, x, range, y. That's really what you have to know. But you're going to see it in a lot of different ways. You might see it in a table. You might see, hold on people, sorry. You might see it in a table. You might see it in a list of ordered pairs, right? But however you see it, the domain is going to be the x, and that range is going to be the y.
The domain is going to be the x, and the range is going to be the y.
Didn't I just say that?
I know, but you said it on the graph, and I wanted to show them over here.
Oh, samesies, right? All right, so let's look at one of these cool circle scenarios. I mean, what are these officially called?
I think they're called input-output tables.
I think they're called input-output tables too. I like to call them input-output circles, right? So if I have an input-output circle or an input-output table, again, if I'm listing the domain, I'm writing down the x values from least to greatest. If I'm listing the range, I do the y values from least to greatest.
Always least to greatest, always ascending.
Yes, and you put them in those little, if you're actually like writing them, you put them in the little like
Faces.
little fancy guys.
Little
right?
faces.
Little fancy braces. Are they called braces?
Mhm.
I don't know. All right, but here's something that's a little harder, right? So first, we have to look at these two and figure out, are they a function? Now, even if they're a relation, I can list the domain and range, but I want to figure out, because it asks me down here, is this a function? Remember, if the x value repeats, it's not a function.
I like that straight line test thing to be able to figure it out.
Well, if I looked at this one, look, these are on the same, oopsie. These are on the same x, right? So here's the x value, and this one shares that x coordinate, and this one shares that x coordinate. So no, it's not a function. But I still list
You
the
sure could.
domain. So I'll do the domain on mine and you do the range on yours. How about
Okay.
that? That way we're not like taking up too much time, right? So if I were to list the domain, I was gonna start at my smallest and work my way down. So I'm listing again the x value. So I have -5, I go over and I have one at -2, I go over more and I have 2 at +2. So it's not a function, but I can still list the domain.
Excellent. And if you look over here, we'll answer this question first. Is this a function? Well, we can kind of use process of elimination. If that one's
True.
not, this one probably is, but that's not a good enough reason.
It's true.
We could mess you up. Okay, but again, we'll use a straight line test. Straight line, only one dot. Straight line, only one dot. Straight line, only one dot. Straight line, straight line.
Woo!
So I would say
Yes.
yes, except I wouldn't say it nearly as neatly as she did. Now I'm listing the
range.
range, so I'm looking at y values.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't make those fancy little faces very well, but I'll do my best.
That's good.
Ooh, that one's not bad. Kind of a bad face. Okay, so I'm going to start here and I'm going to go. I have. Let's see.
Well,
We're going to do it in order, right? Yep, got to do it in that ascending order. So
Yeah.
I got -5,
Because right here, we're right
Right
there.
here,
and you're
-5.
kind of in the way. Mr.
and then
Lamb.
oops, sorry,
So you're right here, right?
-5, and
Look at
then
the
it looks like
Y.
the next one is probably -2. Oh, sorry, is 0. So we'll make that a +0.
0 is not positive or negative, Mr. Lamb.
I know I like to mess up. God,
It's
that's
fine.
terrible. 0, and then
We're never
ooh,
gonna end.
these two are on 1, so I just
That's
need
okay.
1,
Yeah, 1, 1,
and then 4.
4, and then you,
And then
you close out your
The
little
little squiggly face.
squigglies. Boom! Nailed it. Drop the mic. Alright. So that's really all you have to know about domain and range. Domain X, range Y. As you are going on to practice, there is one more video that shows us a little clearer maybe. So watch that. If not, go on and you do that IXL and you do it to the best of your ability.